Government dock in North Bay. I decided to come out early, trying to get out before my kids got to go to work. If I'm covered in bugs, it's because there's these bugs that are all around me here. I almost inhaled a couple of them, but yeah, bit of a rough first run here. I forgot my net on the front of my truck, so we'll see how this flies. I know a lot of people out here sort of hand bomb them. Hopefully I don't get anything too big, you know, just the right size. Got my tape measure ready to fly here, right here. I'm gonna be throwing some leeches out on my pack. I got this ugly stick pack rod. My kid bought it for me for my birthday. Comes in 4 pieces. Gonna have to do some slight re-rigging. I tell you, these bugs are getting caught right in my beard. It's really something. So, it's gonna be a minute here setting up. So I'm just gonna turn the camera out to the lake. You guys can take a peek at what we're looking at here. So yeah, there's the skyline. It's, well, you know what time it is. 5 something. So I haven't actually fished at the dock here ever. Well, I used to take some of the guys I support here, but this dock wasn't particularly good for them because the guys I was supporting were using wheelchairs. And this dock isn't, you guys can't really see the lake. Okay. So I'm gonna be throwing some leeches this morning. Just gonna set up a bottom rig. Just got a little bit of a tangle going on here. So it's only me and one old guy out here right now. I know the pier here gets pretty busy in the evening, so I figured I'd try it out in the afternoon or in the morning here to see what the scene's like. So far it's quiet. It's a little chilly out here. Hoping to get into some eyeballs. We'll see. I was at the Lavos River there last night, just trying to see if I can get into some bullheads or something like that. No luck. I heard other people catching fish though. Just not me. So I was asking a dude down here what he likes to throw. He says he likes to throw Carolina rig with a Carolina rig with a circle hook. Circle hooks would be good, I guess, if you're concerned about fish being deep hooked. Nobody likes that, especially when you have a throwback zone. Now, my son was going through my tackle box last night, so I can anticipate not being able to find all the things I need to find. I'm sure everybody understands. So I'm just gonna re-rig my rod here to run like a Carolina style rig, or it'll be like a Lindy rig. You know, there's so many variations on the terms. It's like you got a sinker that free flows, that's what I'm going for. And then a little bit of a fluorocarbon lead there with a hook. I'm gonna put a little line float on that, and then a leech. So I'm seeing some people showing up in the party here. Welcome to the party, everybody. I'm sure everybody's drinking their coffee this morning. I started my morning by chugging an energy drink, which works wonders for when you're trying to get up in a hurry. Okay. All right, there's that. Okay. So I forgot, I think I said it already, but I forgot my net on the top of my truck. So hopefully no opportunistic hosers decide to steal my net. I just got it off of Amazon. It's one of these fold-up nets that is, they're pretty handy. The ones you buy at Canadian Tire though, and I've bought many, they are they have this mesh, this nylon mesh that's super crappy. When you catch a fish, your hooks get all in it. It's terrible. I was in this nice brookie lake and I was catching these brookies, and one brookie, once I got him off the hook, it took me 20 minutes to get the hook out of my net. So I bought this one off Amazon. Similar idea, folds up real compact, but it's got a rubber mesh. Of course, that's sitting on my truck right now. So hopefully it'll still be there when I get back. So yeah, I'm trying out this Berkley pack rod. I tried to get all these companies to send me some pack rods for me to test out. I didn't get any response. During ice fishing season, people like sending me stuff, but not in the summer, I guess. All right. You probably think to yourself, why didn't you rig up before you showed up there at Coke Machine? I'm thinking the same thing. But that's okay. We'll have this rig together real quick. So it sounds nice out here, nice and wavy. I was half tempted to bring my canoe out, and then because I was looking at the weather, it didn't look like it was going to be too bad. But let's try to tie this here so it looks like I'm doing something. But yeah, it's maybe a little wavy for canoeing this morning. Classic. So I'm tying on some of these guys here. Rock Runner. It's a slip sinker. So I'm just gonna sneak that guy on there. It's got this little plastic doodad for sliding along your line, which I don't know if that helps your line or if you want to change up the size of your sinker. There we go. Just like that. There we go. All right. Myself a little bit of line here. I'm gonna go with about 18 inches. I don't want it too high off the bottom. See if that works. So I'm going to take this guy's recommendation that I met down here, a dude by the name of Tom. He said he uses the circle hooks. So I have used a lot of circle hooks in the past, so I'm going to try that out. If you guys don't know, this is what a circle hook looks like. The idea is that you keep the fish from getting deep hooked. I'm actually going to throw a snell knot on there. So I'm going to be releasing my new worm harness shortly. I got all the ducks are in a row to make that happen. Just haven't released the video yet. So let's see. Put a couple of rig floats in my pocket. Hopefully they're not flattened now. I got a hot pink one here. All right, we're just about ready to party now. So that's the rig I'm throwing. I'm gonna clip that tag end, mind you. I'm not gonna leave it like that. Tidy it up. Get about 18 inches of line on there. That'll hopefully keep my leech off the bottom a little bit. You know, I really like leeches because they are very active in the water. I know anybody who's watched my streams before probably knows about my love for leeches. And mind you, I don't like... I'm just trying to make sure I put all my garbage into my bag here because I don't like finding line lying around anywhere. All right, tag ends are cleaned up. Sun's starting to come out. Sun was rising at 5:30 today, I believe. And of course the city blocks a bunch of it. All right. Tag ends all cleaned up. See this goo on my hands here? That's bug goo. That's just from touching the rocks here. They're all over the place. They're not, you know, they're not a biting bug, but some kind of a bug. How's it going there, Jeff? How's it going there, Bernie? How's it going there, Andrew Thomas? I also forgot my bells. I usually bring bells. I mean, I like bells. Okay. All right, here goes the leeches. There we go. Leech on. All right. So I think the weight I have here is about, it's a ½ ounce. So I should be able to wing that out there pretty far. I'm out on the rocks here. A lot of people fish from the dock. I don't know, I like climbing on rocks, so I'm gonna wing it out here. All right. So now, if I had a bell, I would put the bell on. Do I have a bell? I got some. I managed to steal a bell. I like to keep a bell on my kid's life jacket. Just gonna turn this a little bit here, so. I've been looking up different ways to do the live broadcast where I can use the phone to look at different stuff, but at the same time, I can have a separate camera, my action camera, like filming the whole scene and all that. So I'm going to try that out in the future. I just having trouble with the software. So we'll see how that flies. So if you can see, probably can't see my rod behind me here. I'm going to turn it so you can see my rod. And then hopefully you and I will both see that rod tip twitch if I get one on. Right now it's pretty wavy, so there's a lot of wave action happening. But I think this is a great way to start the morning, in my opinion. I feel pretty good about it. I usually find any time on the lake at any time of day is pretty awesome. And you know, even though it sucks waking up super early in the morning, once you're out here, you're like, oh, this is great. This is a good idea. So that's what I'm hoping for. It'd be ultra nice to catch something. We'll see. I know some guys come out here and cast lures. A dude was telling me that he comes in here after dark with shadow wraps, I think. I don't know if I have a shadow wrap. I should get my hands on one, I think. But a lot of the guys seem to throw pickerel rigs, which I don't think I'd ever seen them used before I moved up here. It's basically like sinker at the end, and then like sort of like drop shot style, like these little wire spacers with hooks that come off them. I think they have like 2 hooks or something like that. Maybe people can put like a minnow up top and then a, worm or something, the lower one, and see who bites what. We'll see. It's gonna tighten up my line here a touch. This is how we do it when we're carp fishing too. Not quite like this. We have the setup with the stand and everything. When I go down to Rice Lake, that's what I like to have, is the carp rod pod, as they say. And it's got all the beepers. Very noisy. But I tell you, when you're carp fishing, it goes from 0 to 60 so fast. You're just sitting there taking it easy, and all of a sudden it's like... Yeah, so I love that. It would be out of place here, though, when you're fishing from the dock. So I'm looking back across the lake here. I'm just going to turn the camera around. You guys can take a peek. So out past the light here at the marina, which looks like it's got a bit of a lean going on now. There's way out there's one fishing boat I see. And I think way out there by Sunset Point, I see another one. I don't know if I can zoom in with this. We'll see if I can. It's probably not going to be great. Okay, you can see one boat over... that's not going to work. There's a boat to the left there. And then way slightly to the right, you can see another boat. I know in the first few days of the season, it was definitely a lot of people out here evening and morning. But it looks like today there aren't a lot of us out here. I'm just gonna... Okay. There we go. So yeah, that's the scene. I plan on fishing here until about, 6:40 or so. And then we'll go from there. Yeah, the boat is fishing off of the turd plant out there. Jeff, is that your buddy? I know you're telling me you got a buddy who likes to fish there every morning. Or is it every night? Or is it every morning and night? Yeah, I'd say he's right lined up with the turd plant from the looks of it. I know there's the warm water output. It seems to be a hot spot for all sorts of activity. I guess that's not so far away from where I go fishing, but I'm a little bit further down from the turd plant. I tell you, if one of those turd plant houses there were... See, the problem is with the plant there is if that wind gets going in the wrong direction, you're going to be just like gassed out with all sorts of, sewage smells. But if you got a south wind, the wind's blowing off of your house, so you probably don't get gassed out too bad. Plus, you'd live on the lake. I don't know how other people feel about it, but if it came down to it, the price is right. I think I could do it. Could manage. So I'm gonna go through some of these comments here. Gonna turn the camera around. Let's go to the beginning here. Travis T. Looks like I need to tighten my camera on here. Sorry, let's go through some of the comments again here. Andrew Thomas, yeah. I am keeping well. I finally got I got to ride my bike the other day, which was awesome. So WH, good morning, Coke. Thanks for the tip on the chiropractor. The back is getting better. Yeah, I seem to get into some real back situations, and Dr. Valiant there seemed to help me out quite a bit. I wish I had more benefits for chiropractic, because I don't. Anyway, yeah, I got to ride my bike recently there. I guess if anybody who watched the last live stream, that I had gotten myself a vasectomy a couple weeks back, and so I had to quit a lot of the awesomer things in life, like riding my bike, wrestling with my kid, stuff like that. Well, I healed up from that, so got to ride my bike recently, and it was great. I went out for a bike ride across the city along the Chippewa Trail. Very good, very good. If anybody's gonna have that kind of surgery, I got some tips for you, but won't necessarily talk about here. Anyway, so where are these fish at, So I've got a pretty awesome video put together for my my new worm harness there. It's called the Zeus Zapper. I have a pretty hilarious animation, features a worm with a beard. I'm hoping that's going to be a big hit for the summer. It's got a plastic blade that spins at really slow speeds, that I've sort of fashioned up. I made it by taking a certain kind of iridescent plastic and bending it in such a way that it works like a blade. I was inspired by the Montana blades and the Smile blades. I don't know if anybody fishes with those, but yeah, going to be getting those worm harnesses going. Looking forward to making good use of them this summer. Going to be going camping next week, I'm hoping, with my brother and my kid, and I hope it's not raining, and I hope that the black flies aren't absolutely insane. They've been pretty good. When I was down at the Lavasse River, it was more a mosquito scene there. I haven't been out in the bush in a while. I meant to get out there to film some stuff. There's a music video that I've spent a few years working on, which is funny because I swear this track that I've been working on has been done for a few years, and I just somehow talk myself out of releasing it every year. But part of it is filmed during like extreme bug season. It's called Four Wheel Fishing. It's all about getting out in the backwoods and fishing for whatever. But the key is getting out there in the backwoods, wearing your bug suit, extreme bug situation. So I'm just going to reel up and cast in, make sure my leech is still on there. With this rig, I could potentially drag it along the bottom and cover some turf, and maybe that's what I'm going to do. It's a weedless sinker sitting right on bottom. I remember seeing a guy out here that he was dragging a jig head, and he was having some success. So I think it's about 12 to, it's probably about 12 feet right out here, because in the wintertime I was out here and it was about 9 feet just outside of this, but I know the water gets lowered quite a bit. All right, let's try another cast here. Even though nothing seems to be biting just yet, nothing's in a hurry to bite. I don't know. This explains some things. Nothing like getting your line all tangled on itself. I don't know if that happened during the cast there or what. So it's good to check your line every once in a while. All right. All right. Well, hopefully that doesn't happen again. Here we go. This rig is probably, I don't know if it's used that much for bottom fishing as much as it's used for like bottom bouncing style projects. So we'll see. I'm gonna keep my rod in my hand here. You know, one time I was fishing off a dock for bullheads on the Moon River, which has a amazing bullhead fishery if you care to check it out. I don't know if a lot of people go around looking for bullheads, and I don't think they're that hard to find. But I used to go out there and I had like a bell on my rod, and I just set my rod up with the bell and just wait for the catfish to ring the bell. And then my buddy came out there, and I'm like, "You want a bell?" And he's like, "No, I want to be fishing by feel." And I thought that was a funny way to put it. But then he was right. He started catching all these catfish because he wasn't missing those bites because he had the rod in his hand, so he was always able to set the hook. Now I got a circle hook on here, and the idea with those circle hooks is that the fish sort of sets the hook on itself, and you don't need to set the hook in the traditional sense. And the whole idea is it's supposed to hook the corner of the fish's mouth. I think it originated in a lot of sea fishing, where a lot of the big sea fish just inhale everything. So we'll try it out. It's been a few years since I've tried out circle hooks. What's amazing is, say, like when you're carp fishing, I know there might not be a lot of carp fishing fans watching at the moment, but when you are carp fishing, the way the hook is set up with the hair rig, it's very much like you almost always hook the fish right in the lip. And I guess because it's like set up like a bolt rig, so it's a super heavy weight. And then when the fish feels the weight and the prick of the hook, it like bolts away and sets the hook against the weight. And the weight's like 2 ounces. Yeah, that's in carp fishing. I always wonder if that kind of system would work for, say, walleye or anything like that. Because whenever I was trying to fish for carp without that kind of rig, never really seemed to pan out. But in the, I don't know if anybody's ever tried that for walleye fishing. I know walleye tends to be more of a finesse style, but I can't see why a fish wouldn't react the same way to like the prick of a hook and the weight as they do in carp fishing. I was hoping I'd come out here and the bite would just be on fire, you know, and then I'd be on to something. It would be like, all right, you got to get out here in the morning. I know some of the Temagami area lakes that I go to, the bite will be as good in the morning as it is during sunset. So I'm hoping for that. I don't think there's been that many mornings on Nipissing that I've gotten out super duper early. So here's me testing it out. Looks like there's a bit of a mist over by the mother house over there. Just on the water. That's cool. There's been frost warnings out. I don't know if any of you guys do any gardening, but I do. I like it. I like watching the plants grow. We've got some hot peppers growing as we speak. I'm not talking about regular old hot peppers. I usually try to find the hottest ones that exist. I used to grow them by seeds, but now they're a little bit easier to find. A little bit easier to find in the garden center. I've got Carolina Reaper. I know they're up. There's a new champion, but Carolina Reaper was once the hottest pepper. And then I think I've got some peach butcholokias. And that was once the hottest pepper as well. It's a funny thing because I made this hot sauce that's still like stewing up. And I gotta blend it all together, but it's basically like a brine filled with the hottest of peppers. I was gonna give it to my brother. But it's the kind of thing where you probably could use like a pinhead sized drip of that sauce and you would probably be sweating. Anyway, growing hot peppers is fun. We used to have a garden when we lived on the lake there. We grow tomatoes, and I used to grow giant pumpkins. Biggest pumpkin I ever grew was 169 pounds. It was a doozy. It was a pumpkin that weighed as much as a dude. And they get way bigger than that too. That's the fun part. Oh, we got some boats going out here. We've got a boat guy. Off he goes. All right. I'm going to say he's heading out towards the turd plant. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to trying out some camping. I know sometimes when I've gone camping this early in the year, the bugs are extreme. But as soon as I told my kid that Uncle Carl was going to be coming and we're going to go camping, he got very excited about it. He's been talking about camping since the end of the ice. As soon as the ice melted, he's like, all right, let's go camping. And my brother sort of has a hot tent that he's got set up that would have worked really well, but the opportunity just didn't happen. I'm just gonna pull my line a little bit along the bottom here. Try to cover a little bit of turf. Just gonna move it, 5 feet in. See if anything's lurking right there. I tell you, it's funny with walleye how sometimes, the bite is just wild, and sometimes you wouldn't even think they're in the lake. It's one thing standing on a rock, a slanted rock is, you can see why people maybe stand on the dock. So far it's just me and this old guy behind me there. You can probably see him right over here. He drove his car out to the end of the dock there and set up. But otherwise it seems pretty quiet out here. I really meant to get out to a lot of brookie lakes this spring. And I found a place where I wasn't expecting to find them that was pretty close. But, I usually try to get to a splake lake or two. And I know, like, even right now, one of my biggest splake came out of one of these backwoods stock splake lakes early June. So there's still time. There's still time to get out there. It's just tough when you live on a lake to want to do a big drive somewhere. It's not like a big drive. It's just, you're going the backwoods roads. And then the last time I was at a certain lake where I caught some fish, it was probably, I'm going to say 5 years ago. So who knows how overgrown the trail was. It was pretty bad back then. I was still driving my Jeep Cherokee, and I just, it was an old junker, so I just jammed it right through the trees and everything. It was great. I mean, I would do that with my truck now. It's pretty beat up and rusty. But, these forests just keep growing, and I don't know if anybody tries to, keep it open, because it's, a 200-yard trail going into this one lake. And if you're good on an ATV, maybe. But I don't think anybody goes through and clears out these trails much. Sometimes on some of these backwoods lakes, if you have if there's some kind of access to some hydro or anything like that, they will go in and cut down some of the brush that shows up. But it's a 200 meter long trail is a lot of work for just locals to keep cleared out. But then again, if it's the only way to get into a lake, it's pretty awesome that some people, put in the work to try to keep the trails clear. I'll reel up another couple feet here. So yeah, I've got a hot pink float on and a leech. and a bottom rig. So far, not even any perch. The other day I was rocking I like the HD flicker shads when I'm trolling around. And I actually caught a perch on it that was pretty much the same size as it. It's pretty funny when you see that kind of thing. Usually it's something really aggressive like a bass. I mean, perch are really aggressive, don't get me wrong. But like bass are just like, you know, they got a lot of attitude. Smallmouth bass particularly. But yeah, perch can be real hogs too. So I'm gonna say, I told my wife I'd be back before my kid wakes up. So I'm gonna say probably when I reach the hour mark will be when I pack it up. Yeah, it's pretty choppy out here. It doesn't actually feel that windy for the chop we got going. All right, just gonna let my line sit just off the rocks here for a second. And I'm gonna cast that way. I see seagulls setting up out on the lake there, maybe a half K out. So they're probably where all the fish are. There must be a real school of shiners or whatever out there. I know I was at Sunset Park a couple weeks ago and there was a lot of minnows in the shallows. A lot. All right, I'm gonna recast here, see how my rig's doing. All right. So this time it didn't get twisted up. So got my leech on there. So you could troll this or you could let it float. This is a little spinning float. Sometimes though, those spinning ones will really twist your line up. So you gotta be wary. All right, go out this way. I'm getting a good 40-yard cast, maybe 50 yards out here. So yeah, this is the 4-piece Ugly Stick GX2. Cost me $100. Bought it from Billy Bob's. I kept the original reel on here. I thought about changing it for something a little better because sometimes the combos just sort of come with whatever. But this reel seems to be doing okay. I know Ugly Stick makes a pretty solid rod. If anything, it's indestructible. Anyway, I didn't get this for free. Well, I told my kid he was giving it to me for my birthday, but he doesn't like have money, so I basically bought it myself. So that's where we're at. I was like, "You're getting this for me for my birthday, right, boy?" And he's like, "Yep." And then I got out my credit card. Voila. Anyway, I wanted to try some of these pack rods because I was hoping to do this kind of thing, like fishing down by the dock, maybe once a week if I can, at least for the spring. With the idea that I would actually ride my bike down here. I drove down with my truck today because I was feeling a little lazy, but you know, I do like riding my bike places. So it's all downhill for me to get here. It'd probably take me about, I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes to ride my bike down from where I'm at. You know, it's like a 3-minute car ride. Yeah, you gotta love the sound of those waves though. So if anything, if all you guys are watching, I don't catch anything at all. I hope that at least that we got some good audio and good visuals for you guys here to enjoy. If you're unable to get yourself out fishing, you can watch this and imagine you're here. Imagine you're here catching nothing with the Coke machine. Yeah, so I'm going to look into how to set up that camera, get my action camera streaming, and that should eliminate a lot of like shake from when I'm checking comments, which reminds me, we check some comments here. Yeah, I'll have to look up, Jeff, what the butterfly blade is. I know the smile blade might, it would, when I think about the smile blade, it would look like a butterfly blade, if that's what you're talking about. Mine's sort of like one-sided. It's like one long blade and one short blade. My worm harness, pardon me. All right, Bernie, you get going with your day. All Season Angler coming up in a week. We're going to be staying at West Bay Cottages. I don't know if I know that one. I feel like over the last few years I've gotten a real feel for different operators around, and West Bay Cottages, I don't know if I know them. Oh, sorry. Pretty sure I just inhaled one of these bugs. Yeah. And there's some half decent waves out here. The other day I was out here and there were waves with spray shooting off the rocks that went about like 20 yards. It was crazy. I should upload the video. I got a real soaker just walking along the lakeshore. So Jeff says the beginning of the week when it was raining, the bite was on in calendar. And Trophy Outdoors says, any nibbles? Nothing. My leech is still holding tight. All Season Angler, you can ride your bike with no handlebars. I think I tried that a bit when I was younger, and I think I did figure out how to do it. And I think I also skinned my arm trying once. Andy Martin, good morning. Yeah, I think I know the ones you're talking about there, Jeff. The thin plastic, like a boomerang. Like that sound like the smile blades are they're sort of shaped like a clown smile, and then it sounds pretty similar to what you're saying there. I'll have to look up the butterfly blades. I'm surprised there aren't more blades that are made out of plastic, just because they tend to be so light that they move very easily in any kind of motion. Like with my Zeus Zapper worm harness there, it will spin if you're drifting at like the slowest speed. It would just be whoop, whoop. So I'm actually going to try it on some Lakers when I get up to this place where I'm going to go camping. Hoping those Lakers like some worms. I know a lot of times in the early summer, late spring, that I've managed to get out to some of these lake trout lakes that you can catch them shallow. I know I caught one like right at the side of the boat once, so you don't have to go nearly as deep. So sometimes while you're trolling for walleye, you can catch a lake trout. I think my brother and I and my dad were at Lake Onaping, north of Sudbury there, and my brother was trolling a worm harness for walleyes there, and he caught this pretty decent, probably about 10-pound lake trout in 10 feet of water. It was awesome. I noticed that the old guy seemed to have packed it in, so maybe he was getting no bites too. Yeah, I was a couple weeks back. Yeah, I was out with my kid there, and we caught a couple of keepers off Amelia Beach there. There were a lot of people out that day. I hope everyone else was catching as many as we were. Like, it wasn't like like I've had crazier bites, but it was the kind of thing where we were jigging, and at first nothing was going on, but as the sunset, or we got a little closer to sunset, all of a sudden there were some bites happening, and then it was just sort of like small guys, 12 to maybe 14 inches. And then when we started trolling, with flicker shads, all of a sudden we started catching them. My son's gotten really into catching crayfish and stuff like that lately, and frogs and all sorts of little critters, and I'm all over it because when I was his age, I was crazy for that stuff. So you probably see some of these bugs flying around me right now. They're really, I don't know what you call them. They're the kind that if you paint your boat, they stick to your boat. My dad would call them varnish flies, I believe. So I guess I'm gonna go for another 14 minutes here. The good news is I haven't managed to snag anything on the bottom yet. I assume it's pretty sandy out here since this is around a beach. It seems like the North Shore around here in this area is pretty sandy. I remember back when I was living on the lake there in the Yellock area that there were a lot of rocks. A lot of rocks that we were dealing with there. And that was good. Just gonna check out some more comments here. So Jeff says, ever since the cold front came, it's been slow. Yeah, I know they've been giving frost warnings like every morning for the last bit. I haven't seen any frost yet, but I got my big coat on, or my big sweater on this morning. I'm not too uncomfortable. If it was super windy, I'd be in a bit of a pickle, I think. Let me check my rig. I thought about casting lures, but I just feel like every time I'm here, people seem like they're throwing bottom rigs. I didn't bring any worms, just leeches. All right, let's try straight out this way. There we go. Well, it's nice seeing the sun come up, if anything. Guess those shad flies are going to be coming soon enough, eh? I feel like, they call them May flies, but I don't think I've ever seen them here in May. I guess, was it the 31st today? I usually see them when it's my wife's birthday, which is in early July, and then it's a real fiesta. All season angler, there are a few minnow clappers at Billy Bob's that you can grab, and when I get my worm harnesses out, they'll be there as well. I've also started making some minnow clappers that are heavier. I've been working really hard on getting my latest kids book out, and then I've had like a bit of a video project I've been working on as well. And then of course the worm harness project. So I'm a little bit behind on the minnow clapper stuff, but hopefully after this weekend especially, I'll be ready to go, and stuff will be at Billy Bob's and online and stuff like that. But yeah, writing one of these kids' books is a lot of work. There's a lot of tinkering Once you get the broad strokes done, there's a lot of fine strokes you got to do. And I'm sort of like afraid to send off the final file because I feel like I missed something. But I'm looking over everything, and at some point you just have to say, okay, print it. And I should have that book in Billy Bob's too. We'll see. Like I said, for other people watching the other live stream, it's my latest kids book's called Fishing from the Dock. And it's just all about tips and tricks for kids fishing from the dock. You know, talk about fish species, bait, rigs, catching your own bait. I think for kids especially, catching your own bait's is a pretty awesome part of fishing. Like I remember once I got like a minnow trapper. I think it was like one of these square style ones with the big cage on top. That was my first introduction to bait catching. My dad had one of those guys. You put like a piece of bread in the middle, wait for the minnows to show up on top, and then lift it up. I'm not sure what they call that kind of minnow trap. All right, let's see some fish show up in the last 9 minutes of the stream here, and then I gotta fly. Get the boyo ready to go to school, you know. You know, it's a funny thing in the wintertime because people walk their dog to the end of the dock here and just let them drop anchor all over it. I notice in the summertime people don't do that anymore. But for some reason when there's snow on the dock, they're just like, hey dog, go ahead, take a dump here and let's roll. I remember almost stepping in one when I did an ice report last year. I sure hope this coming ice fishing season is full length compared to last year's. It really sucked to sort of wrap it up early. I'm gonna try another cast. So far I find that this Berkley Ugly Stick 4-piece, I usually use 2-piece rods, but I find this 4-piece seems to work pretty good. Like it's a pretty solid rod. It's not too heavy. I guess if I don't catch any fish, it solves the problem of me not having my net. Although I know a lot of people hand bomb them in here. You know what's interesting is that when I grew up, my parents had a boat at the Y Marina in Midland, and it was rocks just like this is where I started my love of fishing. Fishing for perch off of the rocks behind the marina. It was great. So this is bringing me back. Now, if only if I was catching. That would be another. I think I might have had a bite there for a second. Whoop. Yeah, I was always worrying with these four-piece rods that they just get all, unaligned and stuff like that, which is sometimes a problem with even 2-piece rods. I guess it's doing it a little bit, but as long as you get them in there firmly, you're good. Packs up real small. Like it gets right into this pack here. The funny thing though is that the reel, like, it doesn't quite close up with the reel on, and I kind of wish that it did, because I don't like having to take my reel off every time I'm going fishing. I want it to be set up, ready to go as fast as I can. Seems like it's gonna be a real nice day out here. Ian Patterson, good morning, buddy. Let's look at these comments here. Yeah, here, fishy, 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 fishy. So David Bennett, you say good morning, Coke, and you got the American flag on there. Are you visiting the States as we speak? I swear I gotta wear some sort of a gas mask out here that filters the bugs out. I imagine all those guys in their boats are probably bobbing around pretty good. There you go. So you're still in Canada. It's good to hear. I haven't been to the States in a few years. I'm trying to think of the last time I was there. Boy, I can't even think of it. I think I went to New Rochelle in New York at one point. Ian Patterson, you're saying best shore fishing locations. Well, I know the dock in Callander is a popular spot. This spot here is popular as well. This is the government dock in North Bay. I know I used to take guys that I supported to the dock in Callander because you can actually like see the water while you're fishing there. Whereas if you see behind me here, there's this big wall, which if you're in a wheelchair doesn't really work for seeing anything. Mind you, there is the wall in Callander, but you can sort of face towards shore and you can fish there. I know the Lavos River is another spot that people go to frequently, and I've got a few things there as well. I think some people fish off of Sunset Point there. I've never tried it myself. I know the Sturgeon Falls, like Sturgeon River, is pretty popular as well. And then, boy, I'm not really too sure. The problem is that a lot of the places out here are very shallow, where people, like if you're right offshore. Anyway, I'm gonna have to get rolling. So, Ian, if you want any more information, just send me a message or whatever. I think you have me on Facebook. I know you got me on TikTok. But I gotta go get the kid ready for school, so I gotta rock and roll. So anybody watching, don't forget to hit the like button. I appreciate it. And sorry I didn't catch anything, but fish, fish and fishing. So we'll talk to you guys later. Hope you enjoyed the sunrise and of course the sounds of the waves. We'll talk to you guys later.